Imagine having like 200 million RMB in the bank.
Oh, wow. Yeah, that's the dream, right?
Right. And you have global fame and an Olympic gold medal literally hanging around your neck.
You're basically on top of the world at that point.
Exactly. But then, imagine having to sell your family home just a few years later just to pay off these crushing business debts.
It's a terrifying thought.
It really is. Well, welcome to ThinkSpace, everyone. I am your host, and today on our deep dive, we are analyzing a story that, it feels like a Hollywood tragedy, but it is entirely real.
Yeah, it's 100% real. We are looking at the shocking financial collapse of the Chinese boxing champion Zou Shiming and his wife, Ran Yingying.
Right. And if we look back, less than 10 years ago, Zou was a national hero. He was China's first Olympic boxing gold medalist.
Yeah, a massive...
He was a world champion with massive wealth. He was married to a former TV anchor. They were the ultimate power couple, right?
Absolutely. They were at the absolute peak of success, both culturally and, financially.
But today, the sources we're looking at paint a drastically different picture.
Yeah, they really do.
They have sold all their properties. In Beijing, in Guiyang, and even in the United States, just to pay off their creditors.
And Zou reportedly spends his days just deeply depressed in a rented apartment, playing video games all day.
While his wife posts these really emotional videos online about their struggles. So, okay, let's unpack this.
Let's do it.
Because if you look online, the internet mostly treats this as, just cheap celebrity gossip.
Right, like it's just tabloid fodder.
Exactly. You see people blaming a greedy wife or pointing fingers at a passive husband. But this deep dive isn't about gossip.
No, not at all.
This is an absolute masterclass in what not to do in your career, in your investments, and in managing your family wealth.
It's a textbook case of wealth destruction, really.
Yeah, it is. It's a mirror for your own financial decisions, no matter who you are or, what industry you work in.
And to really understand it, I think we need to correct a very common misconception right off the bat.
Oh, right, about when things went wrong.
Exactly. The catastrophic errors didn't start after he retired from boxing.
They didn't.
No, they actually started in 2016, at the absolute peak of his career.
Wow.
Yeah, Zou had just won the WBO world title, and at that point, he was making like 10 million RMB for a single appearance.
Wait, 10 million RMB for one fight?
Just one fight, yeah.
That is life-changing money.
For sure. But instead of, riding that wave, in 2017, they made a decision that basically started their entire downfall.
Right. They abruptly broke their contracts with their two massive management agencies.
Yeah, Shengli Shijia in China and Top Rank in the US.
And they decided to set up their own company, right? To promote their own title defense against that Japanese fighter, Sho Kimura.
That decision right there, that was their first fatal mistake.
Why was it so bad, though?
Well, the preparation was just incredibly rushed. A standard title fight requires 3 to 6 months of careful, really focused preparation.
Right, you'd have to train and strategize.
Exactly. But they squeezed all of it into just 1 month.
Just 1 month? That's insane.
It is. And they overhyped the fight with this extreme nationalist marketing. And the result, Zou lost to a largely unknown challenger.
Oh, man. But it wasn't just losing the belt, right? The fallout went way beyond the boxing ring.
Way beyond. Because of the contract breach, Zou was actually sued for 26 million RMB.
26 million?
Yeah, and even worse, Top Rank, which is a massive international promoter, they locked him completely out of the global boxing core circle.
So his access to international resources just vanished overnight.
Poof, gone.
But wait, let me play devil's advocate here for a second.
Sure, go ahead.
I can kind of understand their initial logic, right? If you were the one actually bleeding in the ring, taking all the physical damage.
Yeah, you're taking the hits.
Yeah. It probably feels incredibly unfair to watch a management company take a massive percentage of your earnings. Like, why shouldn't the athlete just cut out the middleman and keep the whole $1 million?
Well, that is a very common reaction. And honestly, we see it in the corporate world all the time.
Oh, for sure. Like an employee doing something similar.
Exactly. Think of a top salesperson who closes a massive deal, right? And then they resent the company for taking most of the profit.
Right. They think, I did all the work. Why do you get the money?
Yeah. But what's fascinating here is the complete misunderstanding of what a platform actually provides.
Okay, tell me more about that.
An employee, just like an athlete, often forgets why they were able to succeed in the first place. Going solo doesn't mean you automatically get to keep the middleman's profit.
It doesn't.
No, it means you now have to prove you can perform the middleman's highly complex job.
Ah, That makes a lot of sense. So the company is providing, like, the brand reputation
Yes.
and the legal support, the operational infrastructure, the risk management, all of that stuff.
Exactly. In professional boxing, the promoter's job is incredibly intricate. I mean, they don't just book a venue and print tickets.
Right, there's way more to it.
They strategically curate opponents to build a fighter's ranking over time. They negotiate complicated global television rights.
Whoa, wow.
Yeah, they secure sponsors. They manufacture the drama that actually makes the public care.
And Zou and his wives just assumed that because he was throwing the punches, he was the entire business.
Basically, yeah. They tried to take over an entire global industry chain without any proven capability to operate it.
You know, you would think that losing the title fight, getting locked out of the industry, and facing a 26 million RMB lawsuit would make them, like, extremely risk-averse.
You'd think so, right?
Yeah, but the psychology of a former champion is just completely different.
Completely.
Instead of retreating and protecting what they had left, they tried to basically buy their way back to the top.
Yeah, and this brings us to 2018, when they opened the #1 sports center in Shanghai.
And I want you, our listener, to really picture this place, because the numbers here are just mind-boggling.
They really are. The scale of this project was almost hard to comprehend. It was 18,000 square meters.
Wait, 18,000?
Yeah. To put that in perspective, that is the size of 2.5 standard football fields.
2.5 football fields in Shanghai.
Yes, located right in a prime commercial area of Shanghai.
Okay, so the rent on that must have been astronomical.
It was. The rent alone was 50 million RMB a year.
50 million a year just to rent the space. And the renovation cost another 60 million RMB, right?
Yeah, 60 million.
And they installed a 3 million RMB crystal chandelier in a boxing gym.
A chandelier where people are sweating and punching things? Yeah.
That makes no sense.
Yep.
And they bought imported treadmills from Germany that cost 200,000 RMB each.
Yep. 200,000 RMB per treadmill.
I mean, for 200,000 RMB, that treadmill shouldn't just track my heart rate. It should, like, do my taxes and cook me dinner.
Right. It's absurd.
So let's make the math clear for everyone listening. Just unlocking the front doors of this gym cost them 140,000 RMB every single day in fixed costs.
140,000 a day. And to simply break even, they needed thousands of members paying massive premium fees.
Wait, how much are we talking?
We are talking about memberships that cost up to 88,000 RMB a year if you wanted personal coaching from Zou himself.
Here's where it gets really interesting to me, and honestly, a bit confusing. How does a couple skip basic market research on this kind of scale?
That's the $1 million, or I guess 100 million RMB question.
Because boxing in China is a very niche, lonely, and intimidating sport.
Very much so.
It is like opening a Michelin star restaurant that only serves ultra-spicy ghost peppers.
That is a perfect analogy.
Right. Like, the ingredients might be top tier, and the chef might be an absolute genius, but 99% of people simply do not want the pain.
Exactly. People might enjoy watching Zou win gold on television, sure, but that does not mean they want to get punched in the face on a Tuesday night after work.
No, definitely not.
What you're describing is a massive cognitive blind spot. It's a fundamental clash between a champion's mindset and a business mindset.
Okay, break that down for us.
Well, think about how an elite athlete operates. A sports champion pursues the absolute best at any cost.
Right. They want the best coach, the most advanced equipment.
Yeah, and they push their body to the absolute limit. In sports, you just do not compromise.
Because in the Olympics, a fraction of a second is literally the difference between gold and nothing.
Exactly. But a business person cannot operate that way.
Why not?
Because a business person must pursue what is good enough for the consumer to actually buy while leaving a healthy margin for profit.
Ah.
Consumers will not pay a premium just because you bought a 200,000 RMB treadmill instead of a 50,000 RMB one.
Right, because I'm just running on it either way.
Exactly. If the customer cannot feel the difference in their workout, that extra 150,000 RMB is not a competitive advantage. It is just wasted capital.
Wow. So they completely confused their personal passion for boxing and their desire for absolute perfection with actual market demand.
They really did. They assumed that because they loved boxing and because Zou's gold medal had this deep cultural value, the market would just automatically fund their dream.
But the market only pays for what it actually needs.
Right. And the sources mention another great example of this exact phenomenon.
Oh, the restaurant in Wuhan.
Yeah. A wealthy entrepreneur built this luxury restaurant in Wuhan that cost 15 million RMB.
15 million.
Yeah, and it featured 2,000 RMB tableware and this massive fake moon on the roof.
A fake moon.
Yes. It was beautiful, but it was utterly unprofitable.
Right, because creating a beautiful monument to your own passion is very, very different from creating a functional business.
Absolutely.
A monument to your passion versus a business. I think that is such a powerful distinction for any aspiring entrepreneur to remember.
It's crucial.
Now, as this massive, beautiful boxing gym started failing, bleeding 140,000 RMB a day, did they stop?
You would hope so.
Did they cut their losses and close it down? No.
No, instead of stopping, they actually doubled down.
How?
They registered over 20 different companies.
20 companies.
Yes, and they jumped blindly into entirely unrelated industries. They opened hot pot restaurants, bubble tea shops, streetwear clothing brands, they invested in films, and they even bought into cryptocurrency.
Okay, I have to pause here.
Yeah, it's a lot.
Because earlier in our sources, it was mentioned that his wife, Ran Yingying, actually has an MBA.
Yes, she does.
I mean, that is a master's degree in business administration. Shouldn't she have seen the warning signs? Like, shouldn't her education have stopped this cross-industry chaos?
Well, this is a really crucial lesson about the limits of academic credentials.
Okay.
Having a degree is very, very different from having practical, operational experience.
That's true.
The sources point out that despite her MBA, she had actually been a stay-at-home mom for 7 years prior to taking over these massive operations.
Oh, wow. 7 years away from the business world.
Right. She had zero practical experience managing hundreds of employees, dealing with complex supply chains, or, most importantly, managing real-world financial risk.
So her academic confidence actually led to decisions that were fearless, but fundamentally foolish.
Exactly. Fearless, but foolish.
This connects directly to a psychological trap we all struggle with, whether we are managing millions of dollars or just our own daily schedules.
Oh, the sunk cost fallacy.
Yes, the sunk cost fallacy. I mean, how often do you, as the listener, hold on to a bad investment, a bad relationship, or a bad career path just because you have already put so much time or money into it?
It is entirely human nature to want to avoid admitting defeat. But here, we really see the dark side of sports grit.
The dark side of grit.
Yeah, because in sports, never give up is literally how you win. You bleed, you take hits, you exhaust yourself, and you push through the pain to get the victory.
Right.
Athletes are basically brainwashed into believing that persistence overcomes absolutely any obstacle.
But wait, we're constantly told in business books and motivational speeches that, quitters never win. Isn't persistence a good thing for an entrepreneur?
Well, persistence is good when you are executing a proven, profitable model.
Okay.
It is extremely toxic when you are pouring money into a flawed concept.
I see.
In business, stubbornly sticking to a failing project doesn't guarantee a heroic comeback. It just burns through your capital until you have absolutely nothing left.
Right. Because the market is just completely unsentimental.
Completely. It does not reward you just because you work 20 hours a day, or because you shed tears, or because you refuse to quit.
So retreating in business isn't weakness.
No, not at all. Cutting your losses early is a critical survival skill.
Which brings us to the most intimate and perhaps the most destructive part of this entire financial collapse.
Yeah.
The marital dynamics.
Right. This is where it gets really complicated.
Because, as we mentioned at the start, the internet loves to blame the wife. They paint her as this highly ambitious, controlling woman who just squandered her innocent husband's hard-earned wealth.
Yeah, but the sources argue very strongly that this narrative is false.
Completely false.
And that Zou Shiming is actually equally responsible for the destruction of their wealth.
I completely see why. Zou became the classic hands-off boss.
Exactly.
He stepped back and let her make all the calls. And here is a crucial takeaway for you listening. Saying, I don't understand business, so I will leave it all to my partner. That is a managerial decision in itself.
It absolutely is.
He gave up his right to say no.
And if we connect this to the bigger picture of corporate governance, it becomes very clear why this failed. I mean, he was the core intellectual property of the business.
He was the face of it.
He was the founder. You cannot claim all the glory when the companies are making money and then push all the blame onto your partner when the money disappears.
Right. By choosing to be completely passive, he actively enabled the collapse.
Exactly. And it really highlights why husband and wife businesses, or, any family business really, are so incredibly dangerous if you do not have strict rules in place.
Oh, definitely.
I mean, think about a standard corporate board meeting, right? If a manager wants to buy a 3 million RMB chandelier, the chief financial officer can just look at the spreadsheet and say, no, that is a bad expense, request denied.
Simple as that.
Right. The manager might be annoyed, but it is purely professional. The boundary is clear.
But in a marriage, that professional boundary simply does not exist.
Not at all.
If a husband questions a wife's budget, or a wife questions a husband's investment strategy, it doesn't sound like a financial discussion.
No, it turns into an emotional argument at the kitchen table.
Exactly. It turns into, do you not trust me? Don't you believe in my vision for our family? Emotion entirely replaces corporate governance.
And that emotional leverage is a massive vulnerability. Because they didn't have professional boundaries, there was no one to pump the brakes when things got out of control.
Right.
And this lack of boundaries led directly to their ultimate fatal financial failure. They completely failed to build a firewall between their business risks and their personal assets.
Firewall. Let's explain the mechanics of what that actually means in this context, because this is where the tragedy really hits home.
It is the most heartbreaking part.
When they took out business loans to fund the failing gym and all of those random side businesses, they signed what is called unlimited joint liability guarantees.
Yeah. And this is a vital concept for anyone in business to understand.
Explain, of course.
A standard limited liability company, an LLC, is designed to protect you. If the company goes bankrupt, the company dies, but your personal bank account and your personal house are safe.
Right, the liability is limited.
Exactly. But when you sign an unlimited joint liability guarantee, you bypass that protection entirely.
Oh, yeah.
You are legally telling the bank, if my business fails, you have the right to take absolutely everything I personally own to pay the debt.
Wait, hold on. If you go to a major bank for a massive multi-million RMB business loan, don't they just force you to sign that? Like, as an entrepreneur, do you even have a choice? Or is signing away your life just the standard cost of doing business?
Well, banks will always try to make you sign it because, it lowers their risk.
Right.
But sophisticated business people push back. They negotiate. They might offer specific company assets as collateral, or they might seek venture capital instead of bank debt. Or they might simply refuse to scale the business if the required debt puts their family home at risk.
And Zou and his wife just lacked that sophisticated risk management.
Completely. They signed everything.
And the consequences were absolute. The creditors didn't just take the failing gym.
No, they took everything.
They took the family's personal homes in Beijing, Guyana, and America. The family was left with nothing but debt.
It's devastating, and it really raises an important question about wealth preservation. The sources emphasize a specific financial concept called the bottom stash.
The bottom stash.
Yeah, in Chinese, it's referred to as dikang. It is a fundamental rule of wealth management that this couple completely ignored.
The bottom stash. I like that term. What does that actually look like in practice for someone managing significant wealth?
Think about their starting position before all of this went wrong. They had 200 million RMB in net worth.
Right, a huge amount of money.
Before starting any business, before signing a single commercial lease, they should have taken a significant portion of that wealth, say one fully paid off house and 30 million RMB in cash.
Okay.
And they should have locked it away in a secure trust or separate legal entity that is your bottom stash.
So it's legally protected.
Yes. It is never, ever used for business collateral. Its only purpose is to guarantee the family's basic survival and dignity.
Wow. So even if the massive boxing gym fails, even if the bubble tea shops and the cryptocurrency investments all go to zero, your children still have a safe home to sleep in.
Exactly.
And you still have food on the table. You only gamble with the remaining money, never the bottom stash.
That is the discipline of wealth. People often fail to build a bottom stash because of greed and, overconfidence.
They think, if I invest all 200 million, I can make $1 billion.
Right. But because Zou and his wife didn't separate their personal assets from their business risks, when the fire started in their companies, it just burned their entire personal life to the ground.
Man. So what does this all mean for you listening right now? Let's distill this deep dive into 5 practical takeaways that you can apply to your own career and finances.
Do it.
First, don't mix romantic ideals with business reality. Passion is a great starting point, but the market demands a product that people will actually pay for.
Second, respect the invisible expertise of platforms and middlemen. Before you try to cut out the agency or quit your company to go solo, make absolutely sure you understand the infrastructure, the legal protection, and the risk management they provide.
Third, know when to quit. Sticking to a failing plan isn't bravery, it is just bad math. Retreating takes courage, and cutting your losses early is a critical skill.
Fourth, if you are working with family, you need strict financial rules, not just trust. You need someone who has the structural authority to say no to a bad idea without it becoming an emotional betrayal.
And fifth, perhaps the most important rule of all, always separate personal assets from business risks. Build that firewall. Protect your bottom stash before you ever take a leap.
You know, I want to leave you with a final thought to really mull over, which touches on something deeper than just money.
Okay, what is it?
We live in a society driven by hustle culture, right? We're constantly sold the idea that we must go all in.
Oh, absolutely. Risk it all for the dream.
Exactly. We are told to risk everything, to burn the boats, to sacrifice our comfort to achieve greatness. But looking at Zou Shiming's tragic fall makes you question that entire philosophy.
It really does. It makes you realize that blind ambition can actually be a weapon that turns against you.
It forces us to ask, is true financial freedom really about how much risk you are willing to take? Or is true power actually defined by how much risk you can actively refuse?
Wrong.
We worship the climb to the top of the mountain. But as this story proves, reaching the peak is only half the battle. The ultimate test of your intelligence isn't how much money you can make when everyone is cheering for you.
The real test is how much you can keep when the cheering stops. So ask yourself this: if your main source of income disappeared tomorrow, what is the untouchable firewall you have built around your life?
A tough but very necessary question to ask yourself today. Thank you for joining us on ThinkSpace for this deep dive. Keep learning, keep questioning, and we will catch you next time.